Henrik Borgstrom. I'm the Associate Provost, and I have met some of you already, at least virtually. And I just wanted to let you know, I'm not going to stay for this session, right? But I just wanted to kind of let you put a face to the name and know that I will be contacting you shortly about the new faculty orientation. The orientation takes place over the whole fall semester. It's every other Friday in 1-hour sessions where we're going to be touching on everything you need to know about Niagara University and whatever resources we have to provide. So again, I just wanted to say hello and welcome to NU, and I look forward to working with you in the semester ahead. And you can always contact me as well, hcb@niagara.edu. Thanks, Rachel. I turn it back over to you.
Thank you. So this is sort of technology orientation. So like consider like episode 0 of Henrik's trainings. So you'll hear from me again. I think I'm scheduled for November when I actually get into the faculty development and instructional support part of that. But we thought as you're getting set up for fall, you're probably going to have some technology questions. And so hoping I can answer those for you. I have sort of a list of questions that I frequently get from new full-time faculty members, and I've kind of split them into 2 camps, sort of employee, members of Niagara University faculty things, and then specific faculty things. So I'm going to start with sort of the employee stuff first, and then move more into the faculty role. I'm going to first share with you, because this is going to kind of guide me, so I don't try and boil the ocean here and share everything with you. This list of Rachel's favorite links to things on campus. So if you want to add this to your Google Drive, you're welcome to. I'm just going to pull that up quick. And I want to just share my screen as well. All right. And if you have any trouble getting into Canvas or seeing your courses in Canvas, I don't know if you've had a chance to poke around in there yet. But if you're missing classes or something looks odd, please let me know. I'm the one that's going to help you fix that. So we can take that at the end if you want. You can send me an email, but definitely want to make sure you have access to your courses and you're seeing everything that you're supposed to. Okay, so this is the website, the Google Doc that's going to kind of guide my presentation here. And I'm actually going to just sort of run through it. One of the first things I often get asked about is, do we have like an email signature, and how do I email my classes, and how do I get my roster? Those are very good questions, but kind of 2 different camps. So I'm going to go through the email signature first because it's kind of fun. We have a brand guide, which is under here under NU brand guide. And so I'm actually going to start off with this piece, which covers the email signature as well. I don't know why, but I always remember it as niagara.edu/colors because it's the university, like the purple and white colors is the URL I remember. But I have gotten this, a few people have emailed me this question separately, so I wanted to show you that we do have a university brand signature. You're not required to use it. Please take everything I'm teaching you as suggestions, or this is something for your consideration. By no means I'm trying to, give you firm directions. I know that some industries have very industry-specific email signatures, but this is one I know I've gotten ahead of this meeting, so I wanted to make sure I talked about it. Also, while I'm here on those links that I just shared, you can talk about how you order your business cards. You'll put that request through MyNU. There's a form that you'll fill in. Some of it's pre-populated, but they are like a standard form. It's a little odd. You can't really put Ph.D. after your name. You have to put the doctor first. I don't know why. It was part of the brand thing, so I'm just sort of warning everybody that, so mine is like Dr. Rachael J. Rossi instead of Rachael J. Rossi, Ph.D. So they'll mock it up and they'll send you a proof. But in case you want to get your business card started, I know some people will be working in the field and like to have those as soon as possible. That link is there for you as well. If you need letterhead for any reason, student recommendation letters, what have you, it's all available here. The presentation templates, if you want like the university's PowerPoint templates, they're there. So bunch of stuff here on this brand guide to kind of poke around with and sort of get you comfortable as a member of the campus community. So any questions on that kind of paperworky stuff? I'm gonna follow my own guidelines here so I don't forget where I'm going. All right, the next one I was going to talk about is printing. When you get your university issued laptop, you will already be connected to the university's HoldQ printing on that machine. But that doesn't necessarily mean you'll always be printing on that machine. It doesn't mean that you'll be able to answer student questions on how to print. We use Find Me printing on campus. So essentially, if I print from here in my office, I can release it from any of the millions of copiers around campus. So I have printing instructions here for both yourself and to share with your students. Often faculty will put this link in Canvas just to support their students. So like if they're like, well, I don't know where to print my readings out or what have you. If I were you, I would just include this exact link somewhere in your syllabus or your Canvas course or what have you. It'll just save you some time from students asking your questions. And so then essentially what you do is you just pick whatever machine you're trying to hook to the printing, and then there's step-by-step instructions with screenshots to sure to guide you. Because the printing is great when it's up and running, but getting it initially set up can be a little overwhelming right off the bat. Okay, so there's a question about the GL account. So the GL account, to pay for your business cards would be your department's general ledger account. So your coordinator could tell you that, or your department chair will tell you what the GL account number is to put that in. All right, so I talked about the printing, sorry. Oh, okay, so that was actually gonna be my next part. So here at the university, students do have unlimited printing and they do not pay for it, which is quite nice. I went to UB myself and they started with unlimited, then we went entirely paperless. It was so weird. But here they can print pretty much anything. For yourselves, like if you're thinking, okay, I got to get my syllabi printed before classes start, in this little link I just put in here, large print requests. This would be for anything that's more than 200 black and white copies or more than 50 color copies. You would just send it over to the print shop. And they do a nice job of stapling it and, if you want hole punches or what have you, finishing it as well. That's the link in there for you to just and you'll upload your syllabus or whatever it is you want printed. But students have unlimited printing, and we have, I think, about 12 different big copy machines throughout campus. So like the library, the dorm rooms, the dining halls. So it's not uncommon to see them finding a printer and releasing something right off the bat. So any questions on printing on campus? Your individual offices will also have copy machines, of course. But if you're already ready to go, put in your print request. Okay. I do want to kind of fly through this quickly because I know you probably don't want to spend your whole afternoon learning about the technology systems. We are on what's called the First Day program. I don't know if you've ever used this in the institutions you're at before, but the First Day program is students pay one price. I think it's maybe $100 or $200 for the full academic year through the bookstore, and then they get all of their books to rent. And so the instructions are here. This is another Google Doc, but most of them are going to be ebooks unless you specify otherwise for your textbooks. So as you're picking out your textbooks, maybe you already submitted them to the bookstore. If you decide to go with the ebook, you have to make sure you turn on course materials in Canvas so they have access to it. It's kind of, it sounds a little messy to begin with, but I promise it's quite straightforward. But the instructions here, I would just take a second and read through those. And then if you have any questions for the bookstore, or if you want to change out the course textbook, the email address is very straightforward. It's just store@niagara.edu. And Jennifer, who runs our bookstore, well, she's very responsive. She'll likely get back to you within a day. So if you need to contact the bookstore and swap out textbooks, it's just store@niagara.edu. Should probably actually just type that in here so you don't have to memorize it. There we go. Okay. I wasn't designing this as like a real Canvas training just because you might be coming from an institution that already has Canvas, you know it perfectly fine, you don't really need that much help from me, or you may be brand new to it and I'd have to start right at the beginning. So I kind of anticipated having people all over the map. So I have the video guides here for you and the common guides, which include the guides for the mobile app. to kind of explore it. But then I do a ton of Canvas training as we lead up to the semester. And so since I'm going to sort of talk about that for a second, my website is niagara.edu/IS, which was in the welcome email I sent to you. It's always in my email signature. IS is for instructional support. And so if you're like, I do want more Canvas training, I'm brand new, I need to learn things about it. Under my events page, these are the ones I've scheduled up until August 10th, but I have many, many more coming. I just haven't gotten them on the calendar yet. So like Canvas assignments, Canvas modules, Canvas Studio. So I'd recommend hopping onto those. I'm doing all of them virtually so they can be recorded. So if the time doesn't work for you, that's fine. All the workshop recordings land in my workshop recordings link. So if you do miss something you wish you could have attended, it'll be there. I'm also going to put this particular recording there as well. So if you want Canvas specific training, there's many events coming up, and then I'm always happy to work with you one-on-one as you get started. And I'm a Canvas admin, so if you have a question, you're like, I just need you to look at this because it looks weird, I can hop onto your class and take a look and try and help you out there. So I'm not going to really do too much Canvas stuff, but we have lots of support and training for you. But I will mention also, if you're someone who likes to use your phone for your grading and stuff, like I went to the zoo with my grandmother and I just didn't really need to spend that many hours at the zoo. So I'm sitting there like grading papers on my phone while my grandmother was enjoying the polar bears. So if you like that kind of thing, I'm by no means trying to glue you to your cell phones even more, but the Canvas mobile app is pretty handy and you can do actual grading right on it. It's called Canvas Teacher. And then there is information there as well. So there's Canvas Teacher, which is obviously for you, and then Canvas Student for your students. So some people like having it. All right, so I wanted to talk about that. All right, emailing your class. I covered it a little bit in the welcome video. We also have an alias that you can use. There's a lot of different ways you can email your class. And I think you'll just sort of develop your own habits. Many people do everything through Canvas, so they just email through Canvas. That's perfectly fine. Some like to use the listserv menu, which would be like this. So if you're teaching, for example, CIS 232B in fall 2013, there's a code. So 13 is the year, FA is for fall, hyphen, the course code, CIS 232A at niagara.edu. So you can kind of rework this codes with your actual one. And that emails everyone who's currently registered for your course. Now, so building listservs individually right now is kind of a little too soon to do it because drop add will go until the second week of September. So people might be adding and dropping. So this will be another way to just kind of quickly email everyone who's registered as of this moment. And then if they drop off, you don't have to worry about them coming off. Okay, I talked about my workshop calendar. I talked about my websites in there for you. If you walk away from this training remembering 10% of what I'm telling you, I will be overjoyed because I know it's way too much and we learn at the point of need. So this is being recorded, but I did want to also include the link for our internal grant opportunities. Our grant cycles run, I believe, quarterly. And so like the first one I think coming up is October 15th. So if you're kind of thinking about what sort of funding is available for your scholarship, you can take a look on this website, which has all of our internal grant opportunities and like the associated deadlines to the academic year. Part of Henrik's orientation though is more on funding and scholarship. So he'll cover that again, but just to kind of put it on your radar, there's the link to take a look at it. Okay, IT support. Inevitably you're going to need IT at some point. I can sometimes help with it. I'm not a part of the IT department. I'm more like their hostage because we work very, very close together, but I'm not actually a part of them. Our IT department is great, but they're kind of small. The fastest way to get a response to your question is to start a ticket. And you can start a ticket in one of two ways. You can just email itsupport@niagara.edu, that opens a ticket, or you can navigate to the website directly and put in more information, like if you want to like specifically reference something. But IT monitors the ticketing system constantly and they're assigning them and things like that. So they'll get back to you faster rather than trying to find a specific person because everyone has different roles down there. I don't even know them. But so those links are available for you as well. We do have Microsoft Office. It's probably already loaded on your machines, but just in case it isn't, it's portal.office.com and it's the same sign-ins as your Maya and you. And we talked about the printing instructions. So as I think of, I just put this together this morning. I was like, I'm not putting 50 different links in the chat. It would drive everyone crazy. So as I think of more of them, I'll add them to this like kind of document. You can change the name or whatever you want to do. But as I said, we are a Google Workspace university. So you can add it to your own Google Drive up here. It's already in mine, so I don't have the little icon, but if you wanted to add it to your own, I'd recommend it. Okay. So that's sort of all like campus community sort of things. Now I'm going to jump into more of faculty specific, some stuff you should know as you get started here in fall. Most of the resources you can always access right from the university's homepage. So niagara.edu, just coming back to the homepage. I said in the video that I sent out that MyNU is kind of our umbrella portal. So if you get lost, probably start there and you can likely find what you're looking for. Back in here. So coming on in here, I was going to talk next about colleague self-service because I'm curious to know if your self-service is working. Having sent you your sign-ins about a week ago now, I want to make sure that there's no trouble accessing self-service. And the reason why I say that is we are migrating it over to it for the first time ourselves officially at the end of summer here. So summer session ends on August 13th. I should know that. I'm teaching 4 classes this summer, so I should know when they end. And so when summer session ends, we are officially migrated on to self-service. And so I tell you that because we are still working on a few glitches campus-wide, not just for new faculty members. So when you click on it, it should look like this. Again, you'll hit the sign in. It's the same university sign in, not the @Niagara Exchange, just the username. And the biggest check to make sure everything is working properly is you should see faculty down here. So if you're seeing faculty, you're in good shape. If you're not seeing faculty, please let me know because there's something we'll have to like check on your account. So if I click on faculty, this will be mine, but you know, just pretend you're me for a second. This is also where you can see like, where am I teaching? How many students are registered for my class? The fall classes will spill up front. And so I'll pick my critical literacy class is on Monday, Wednesdays, 4:30 and Glen 305. What this is telling me is I have 12 seats available out of 18 total. So in case you're curious how to read those numbers. And then you can click on here. I talked about this a little bit fast in the video, but I don't know if everyone had access at that point. So I wanted to just run it over real fast. You will be required to submit roster verification on the second week of the semester. So I think that falls on September 9th, I'm pretty sure. So what that means is you'll have to sign into self-service here, and you'll have to go to roster verification and take census. Harry Gong's office, our registrar, will send out reminder communications about that, but I just wanted to make sure you know that that is coming. It is going to be expected of you 2 weeks after the start of classes. You'll have to come in and verify who attended and if anyone didn't attend. It's a financial aid thing, so it's required of all faculty members. You can also email your roster as well, right here by clicking on email all, and then copying their email addresses and pasting them into an email address. There's lots of different ways to email. You'll kind of establish whichever way works best for you. Self-service is interesting because you'll use it a lot this time of the year because you're keeping track of your roster, where your class is, you know, what your numbers are looking like. But then you really won't use it again until the very end of the semester when it goes to submit your grades. So it's kind of the thing that's easy to forget how to use because you're not using it in October. But this is where your final grades go. You'll put in their final grades here, and there's a little bit of explanation here as well. Semester hasn't started yet, so I don't think I can do it yet. But midterm grades, just in case you're curious, are required for anyone struggling in the course. Again, the registrar's office will send out more information about this, but they're required for anyone who's averaging a C- or below. You're welcome and encouraged to submit midterm grades on behalf of everyone. It helps their faculty advisors, it helps their academic coaches, it helps their athletic coaches if they're student athletes kind of keep a track on their progress. But midterm grades are required for anyone C- or below so that we can start doing some academic intervention if it comes to that. And you would just put those in here, and then obviously your final grades would go in here as well. So any questions on self-service? My mother tells me I missed my calling as an auctioneer because I talk so fast, but that's also why I record everything. All right. If you do think of something, just throw it in the chat. So like I say, self-service, you're not in there a ton. You'll use it for the beginning of the semester to get your roster set and verified, and at the end of the semester for grading. Canvas does not automatically talk to the registrar's system, which is kind of a nice fail-safe. So if you completely screw up your grades in Canvas, happens all the time, it doesn't actually matter because they don't auto input onto the student's transcript. So I just like to remind faculty of that. Sometimes they get a little too dependent on Canvas grades and they're like, oh, well, they're done on Canvas, they're ready to go. Like I thought they were done. And it's not. You have to manually input them at the end of the semester to make them go on the student's transcript. Canvas will not autofill that for you. Okay. So we talked about class roster and emailing your students. I want to go through the main applications you'll be using. Canvas is the learning management system, and that's for anything content delivery wise. It could be posting readings, sharing videos, messaging, like tons of stuff you can do in Canvas. You'll probably be in that quite frequently throughout the semester if you choose to use it. This does directly link to our library. If you're on campus, you won't hit the sign-in screen, but if you're off campus, you will. Our library is phenomenal. I am very jaded and very biased, and I'm also part of the library, so I'm, shameless self-promotion here, but the librarians here are really wonderful. If there's something out there you need, they will work very, very hard to find it for you. And this includes video as well. If you're someone who teaches and you have a very heavy basis on film, they have a great film lending lining. We have lending library. We have the, I think it's Canopy, the expensive one. We have that, or Swank, maybe the expensive one. I don't know. Usually film professors are excited to hear we have one of those. I'm not a film person myself, but if there is a resource you need, let the library know. They're also doing this cool new initiative called a library of things. So if there's something you want to borrow that's a thing, so for example, they have a bunch of mini whiteboards that you could use to have like student responses. You can borrow like a tent if you're going camping. If you can borrow like, a rug shampooer. They're crazy, they're fun, they're innovative. The library, I guess they just bought ghost hunting equipment, I heard. So if you need something, start with the library, they may have it. It's also a great resource for your students. If anyone is teaching in the College of Education, we have a phenomenal teacher studio. So as your students are out in the field making like bulletin boards, or they want like puppets or children's books, they have a lot of resources for our education students who are going to be working in live classrooms, and maybe our social work and counseling students as well. Our library is great. I'm just always going to sing their praises. Okay. We talked about self-service and pretty much everything you need to know there as well. I'll talk about Web Advisor quickly, but this is the system we're moving off of. This is where we used to do our grades and we used to do our roster, but that is ending in summer. We still use it though for budgeting. So if you are managing a department's budget, or if you have a budget line as part of your faculty role, that would be in the Web Advisor system. Ad Astra is our classroom space. So if you get to your classroom and you decide you absolutely hate it and it's not going to work for you, and you want to see what other classroom spaces are available for you, that would be on Ad Astra to see what's there at your time slot. Full disclosure, it's not the funnest system on the planet to see what's out there. I'd be happy to help you if you do get into that spot where you're like, oh, I really need, movable desks or something like that. I can't work in Glen because it doesn't have movable furniture. I can help you find a different space. Zoom and then students of concern. Zoom, I think, is pretty straightforward. We have a full suite of Zoom services, all the bells and whistles, 300 participant limit, whiteboards, all of it. So please don't pay for Zoom, it's included. And then students of concern, I want to just, this is what I want to talk about. We have what's called the Early Advantage program, and I'm going to encourage you to utilize it once you're underway teaching. If it gets to be like October and like one student is really struggling and they tend to come to class like once a month, you can submit what's called an EAP report. And then that student's advisor or coach or academic coach or tutor or whoever will reach out to see what's going on. They really love it when faculty submit these reports because they don't know, right? They don't know that they could call that student and offer math tutoring or what have you. So these reports, they're like, the more you can submit them, the grateful they are. And if it ends up being no big deal, that's also fine. Like, they'll just dismiss their report. But I really encourage you. You'll have some that are kind of being like monitored or tracked. I hate to use that vocabulary, but based on what sort of grades they're coming in with, they may already be kind of being watched by our Academic Success Center, or they may be completely brand new, but you can still submit a report on them. I teach freshmen, and I'll be honest, I put one out on every single one of my freshmen, just so their advisors know how they're doing in my class. My class is critical literacy, so it's heavy, intensive reading and writing. So when they sit down to make their spring schedules, they know how they're doing in my class. Even if they're doing fantastic, I still put in reports on them because it helps the advisors, the coaches, the athletic coaches, all of that. Any questions on that? It's a good question. Like, how regularly should you submit one? Like, when should warning bells start going off? I would say 3 absences in a row is a really good, guideline. The funny thing is they can also kind of work as like threats against the student. I'll tell you what I mean. They don't want, if they're on the basketball team, they don't want their coach coming down on them because they're missing too much class. So if you put in an EAP, like, oh, this student athlete in my class has missed 3 classes in a row, their coach will come down hard on them. They'll bench them. They'll take it seriously, and they will become beautiful students in your class because they will put the fear in their hearts to shape up. So as soon as you're starting to have those suspicions that this student might need somebody else kind of supporting them, put in the EAP report. Worst comes to worst, they just have another person and checking in on them, and it could be nothing. So it's a good question. Any other questions on that? Okay. So I sort of talked about when to use which application. I was going to talk about remote conferencing next. I don't know who's teaching online and who's teaching in person. Zoom is the preferred remote platform. It integrates nicely with Canvas, so you can set up your Zoom classes in Canvas and then not have to worry about sending the link to anyone who adds later or drops or what have you. It's all just there in Canvas for them. But outside of Zoom, if you're not a Zoom person, it's not for you. We also have Google Meet, which you're welcome to use because we are a Google Workspace institution. And then lastly, but not supported, is Microsoft Teams. It's there. You have access to it. Students have access to it, but IT does not support it at this time, just because when you start having 3, students get a little lost. Do I go to class on Zoom with this one? Do I go to class on Google Meet with this one? Do I use Teams on this one? So we try and steer everyone for academic content delivery to Zoom or Google Meet, preferably. Is there any questions on the web conferencing platform? Sorry, the gentlemen are working on the, I don't know what they're doing, something up in the rafters here in Glen. I'm on the 3rd floor of one of our big lecture halls, so they're getting it ready for fall. Okay, so academic integrity was the next piece. Our academic integrity board is great. Their website, oh, I should add that one to my website, to my list here. Academic integrity, it's a nice resource to have. I can type where I'm supposed to, because it has some nice language to include in your syllabi, and some examples of language. There it goes. It's niagara.edu/AIB. So if you do encounter any issues with academic integrity, you can put through a report, and then that sort of triggers the whole system to go from there. Right off the bat, I will tell you we do not have Turnitin or any type of plagiarism detection software here at Niagara. So if you're a writing professor, you are used to writing students' essays through Turnitin, we don't currently have that. We've made the recommendation to our academic senate to consider purchasing it. Our faculty have always been, I'll be very honest, they've always been very, very divided on the issue. And the reason is they're not very comfortable. Those who are against it don't like the idea of collecting our students' intellectual property and then turning it over to a third-party platform. So that's why we've never had it before. But of course, with the pandemic comes new challenges and the rise in people buying papers and things like that. There's obviously more threats to academic integrity. So the Academic Senate is considering it, but right now we don't have anything for plagiarism detection. We do, however, have exam proctoring through Proctorio. I have a different training on that one. Only faculty who've gone through the training can have Proctorio on their Canvas courses. So if you're giving exams and you want them proctored online, please attend the Proctorio training. I have one coming up, I don't know, towards the start of the semester, I think maybe on the 23rd. It's on my website. I offer that training, you know, and even if you can't attend and you want to just meet with me one-on-one quickly to go through it, we can put Proctorio on your Canvas course. It's good. It's not great. But we do have it available for you if you want to. Any questions on academic integrity programs? If you're in the College of Nursing, you are also moving to a different program that's not Proctorio. It's called ExamSoft, Exam Monitor. And so I'm certain Dean Verney's probably put that in your ear. And that's a College of Nursing specific thing. All right, we talked about the syllabus template in the video I showed you before, but I will show you where that is real quick, just in case you didn't catch it the last time I talked at you 90 miles an hour. And actually, while I do this, I do want to show you another thing in my annual. So under academics and then under academic tools and resources, this is where the university syllabus template is. And then the annotated syllabus guide kind of explains to you why we need what. So if you're like, oh, maybe I can take this part out, it might be something that has to be in there. So it's a nice idea to like download both of these and sort of compare them as you're building your syllabi for fall. So that's in there for you. While I'm in my MU, I also wanted to share with you a few other things under your faculty links, which this section should be appearing for you in my MU. And if it's not, please let me know. That just means that you're coded improperly in our Active Directory. And so we need to get you access to it. If you're not seeing the faculty links, like, please let me know. Cover that quickly too, the list of student emails by course, which gives you that nice batch paragraph. This auto updates every 15 minutes, I think. So you just click on list of emails by course. Careful, they still haven't taken spring off here yet, so don't type up that one. You got to come down to fall. If I choose, I think I'm section G, I should know this. I could submit this and I can get a batch paragraph of all of my students' emails as of right now. So that's available to you. Also under faculty links is the photo roster. You can only access this on campus, and so I'll show you what it looks like, but don't be surprised if it's not working on your end because you're not on campus, or maybe you are and you're sitting in the library. Sorry. So the photo roster, we'll see. I don't know if any of the students have actually gotten their ID cards yet. Oh, I have a couple of them. So if they've uploaded their photo for their ID card, it's kind of nice to have in front of your face the first day of class to print out and just sort of know what you're looking for as far as your students, so you can access the photo roster. And under my MU, you also have quick links to your EAP system, which we talked about for warning when a student is struggling in your class. And then the online course survey management is another one I'll tell you about now, but I don't really expect you to remember it. But this is where you're going to get access to your student perception surveys. By default, you are opted in for the electronic surveys. You can click on it now and it gives you a little bit more information if you want to check it out. But by default, your students will be filling out your course perception surveys online. They'll be emailed when they're available, which is typically like the last week or the last 10 days of class. And Henrik's office sends out quite a few communications letting you know, okay, students have been emailed, please make sure they take them. They'll fill them out online and then you'll receive access to them 2 weeks after the semester ends. 2 weeks after I think our final grades are posted is when they turn on for faculty members. So again, I don't expect you to remember this, but if you're curious, and if you've taught here before and you want to access old reports, like maybe you have some, you worked here as an adjunct before, they're under course reports, and then you can go back and you can pull them up. These are all mine, and they're clickable, and you can open them. So, all right, talked about that one. Talked about that. Okay, all right. Talk about some Google Workspace stuff unless there's any other questions you have for me yet that I haven't covered. I'm throwing a lot of information at you, I know. So we used to be on Microsoft Outlook. We have since migrated to Google Workspace. I don't know if you heard about it, but we had a ransomware attack in spring of 2020, right before the pandemic hit. Spring of 2020 was rough. And so when we had the ransomware attack, they moved us off of Outlook and onto Google Workspace. And so because now we are a Google Workspace institution, Google Chrome is the preferred browser. So if you're on a MacBook, try not to use Safari, try and use Google Chrome. And so if you're looking for any of your Google apps, they're always going to load right here. And particularly, like if you're looking for like a colleague's email address and you're like, oh, I don't know, like you look on the people directory on the home front facing page and you can't find their email address, a good way to search for it is through contacts as well. This is also how you can build like labels, which is kind of like listservs, if you will. So like you have some of my labels over here, like my critical literacy class I taught in fall of 2020. These subcommittees, you can label your email addresses, and so you have a nice fast listserv of their addresses. And then this is searchable as well. So if I'm looking for someone, like I'll use Tony Knight, she's our dean. If I start typing her name up here, you can click on it and you can get more information. And like there's their email address. And it's nice too because it shows you your recent interactions. So if you're like, I know I emailed with her, but I can't remember, I can't find that email. It does show it. And when you last met with her and things like that. So contacts is a nice way to find others on campus. I'm going to caution you though that students are on a different Google workspace than faculty and staff. It makes things tough. I understand why they're doing it because they don't want students to necessarily have access to faculty calendars and things like that. But it does get a little sticky when you're trying to share things through Google Drive. So just sort of be mindful that they are in a separate Google workspace, but we can still share with them. But if you're like I know this kid's in my class and you're searching for their name and they're searching for their name and they're not coming up, that's why, because students are on a different one. And so you'd have to search for that student's email address either through Canvas, through self-service, or through My Menu. But anyone who's a faculty or staff member should be in our contacts directory here in Google Workspace. Does that make sense? I know what I'm trying to say, but I don't know if I'm being clear. Interpret your silence as understanding. Okay. So I always like to point out what contacts is up here. Also, everything is on Google Drive, and you might have access to shared drives. And so I'm just going to tell you to sort of put this on your radar. When you open your drive, your department may have already added you to their what we used to call the H drive, their shared drives. Eventually, sorry, mine's a little slow. So look here under your shared drives, and these are meant to be like a repository for department specific documents. So there may be things here, like I know College of Nursing has one, specific policies and things might be there. So these are some of mine at the libraries. So look through your shared drives because there might be information that you need there. Okay, let me make sure I talk to all my things. Yes. Okay. All right. 4 or 5 more things and I promise I'll stop talking at you. I know I wasn't going to talk too much about Canvas, but I basically live in Canvas, so I can't not. I wanted to share with you so that you can potentially include it in your syllabi if you're interested in doing so. Our Canvas has the full 24/7, 365-day support for both faculty and for students. So this is a nice lift off of you to solve their problems and off of IT to solve their problems. So if you're in your Canvas class, ignore mine, it's a disaster right now, and you click on help, both you and students can you can start a live chat. So I encourage you to share this with your students, tell them about it, because if it's like 11:59 on a Saturday night and they're trying to submit something to you and they're locked or they can't get in or their password was wiped out or whatever, this can be a nice resource so that they're not bugging you at midnight or trying to get, not losing sleep all night long. And if you do something crazy, like you wipe out your grade book and you can't get to sleep until you fix it, the support for faculty, I found them to be immensely helpful myself. They're extremely responsive. Around this time of year as everyone's coming back to school, there's a little bit longer of a wait time, but usually it's pretty quick. So I like to tell you that's there. And then if you're someone who prefers to call on the phone, there is the hotline number too. So I always like to remind faculty that that's there and encourage you to share that with your students. Okay, sorry, I just got a little list of things to tell you about. Talk about that. Okay. All right. And if you haven't stumbled upon Microsoft Office 365, I think I told you this already, but I have the link here for you. It's portal.office.com. And, if you're someone who likes having everything cloud-based, so you don't have to have a machine for everything you're working on, it can be handy. I'm going to caution you. I'm curious to see how mine goes. It worked. Is it going? Okay, sorry. So we're testing, as you may have seen from Dr. Lovas, we're rolling out multi-factor authentication, the two-factor authentication. Those of you in the CIS department know way more about this than I do. It was supposed to be rolled out today, which really scared me because I was leading this training, but they pushed it to now be rolled out on the 15th, which I'm grateful for. But they're testing it on people like me to see how it's going. So you might hit that if you need to. We have instructions and they're leaving information sessions on it too. But so all of your Microsoft Office apps are there. Well, if you prefer to do your work cloud-based rather than client-based. So I just want to let you know. Also, please tell your students that they have Microsoft Office. It makes me so sad when my freshmen have all purchased Microsoft Word for like 100 or 200 bucks a pop when they have this for free. It's included with their tuition. And it's the same URL that I shared with you, portal.office.com. And they can download the apps to their computer. So if they are someone who's more client-based, it's already on your machines, but they can put it on their individual personal machines. So please tell your students, because I hate to see them spend money when they don't have to. Okay, what questions do you have for me on anything? Parking passes. What coffee shops are on campus? How do I get basketball tickets? By the way, it's Tim Hortons. Chalk and Wire. Chalk and Wire is a College of Ed specific thing. And Delois Moore runs that. So if you're not in the College of Ed, you can ignore me for the next 2 seconds. Delois Moore's email address, I'm just putting in for you, is right there. She'll get your account set up for you. I think that was Dr. Whitaker who put that in there. So Chalk and Wire is where College of Ed students submit for their portfolios, their degree portfolios, but it's only College of Ed and it is built into Canvas. Delois Moore just has to set up your new account. I know it's a lot, I'm sorry.
Rachel, it might be easier for me to just ask a question. It's Dr. Whitaker again. Question about, I'm teaching the same course for 2 sessions. How do I export so that I get the exact same information without having to download it all again into another registration? Is that an easy thing to do?
Yeah, so it often happens. And so usually what faculty do is they cross-list their courses in Canvas, which basically joins them into one giant class. And you can still have like different due dates. So if one class is like Monday, Wednesday, and one's Tuesday, Thursday, you can still split them that way. But then you're only managing content in one giant Canvas course.
Okay.
And it's called cross-listing. And I have a video I can send to you about that.
Perfect. That's great. Thank you.
I often do it for faculty. So if you just send like, hey, put these 2 classes together, I'll do it. Other questions?
And I'm presuming Studio is the best way to do recordings for asynchronous teaching because it's right in Canvas. Would you recommend that?
Yeah, a lot of people like Studio. So if you're new to it, my sister's leading a training on that coming up. It's also a nice way to build in. If you use like a lot of YouTube videos, you can build them in and put little quizzes in and tie them to discussion boards. So it's a really nice resource. I think it's a good idea because you can always retain the ability to download it as an MP4. So if you want the actual file, you still have that potential.
Perfect. Thank you.
Other questions? Okay, so I am meant to be like your welcome mat for the university. So if you do think of something, please start with me. I may not have the answer, but I will certainly know who to send you on to. So please don't be shy. I love working with new faculty. So, and I'm here, they pay me to support you. So let me support you as you get started. And I'll wrap it up there, but be in touch, please. And I hope you have a wonderful fall if I don't talk to you.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks.